Hey guys, welcome back to Fandom Sage Powers, where we discuss comics, heroes, villains, and the Dawn. We have reached X-Men issue number 9, and we're pushing through right now. Where did you find them? Spawning in the dark matter flow of a collapsed universe. They were discovered by a remote team of Imperial xenotomologists. They observed that the Hive began to mimic and then adapt to their behavior. Not abnormal, but worth a closer look. It was only after they realized that the creatures were luring, trapping, and parasitically consuming members of their team that they understood that they were dealing with an ancient, highly adaptive, aggressive species. And so, it was brought to our attention. And from us, the information flowed to you. Adaptive how? They consume not just the host, but also the knowledge that host contained. They are called brood. Watch. Fascinating. Structure. They're matriarchal, like many rapidly reproductive hive societies. Tell me what you propose. We want to genetically seed the hive with a biological control mechanism. Left to its own volition, the hive will evolve along a predictable and seasonal path of factional queens and dueling hives. We want to produce a patriarchal element that, when introduced to the Hive, will seize control of the entire society and turn them into a weapon to disrupt rival advanced civilizations. And what do you call this? A king egg. Do you have any other data to divulge, or does this complete your presentation? That's everything, accuser. And are you ready to hear judgment? Yes. And so it falls to you, Suprema. What say you? Is this a weapon worth building? The usefulness of any weapon
requires a target against which to be judged.
Extrapolating.
Considering the viral nature of the Hive society and also the limiting nature of its singular replication model,
we project a timeline of no less than 8 millennia for a Hive society possessing sufficient volume and intelligence to topple a rival empire.
Potential rivals existing within that scale.
Skrull.
Badoon, Galador,
Shi'ar,
and Kotati.
Highest probable effectiveness.
Spiral galaxies with an abnormal number of dwarf seed systems.
Most favorable target.
The Shi'ar.
Weapon approved.
Though we will have long passed, our legacy is a work that will deliver a great victory millennia from now. We thank you, Suprema. The New Mutants brought a king egg home from space. Unfortunately, the king egg brings with it trillions of hungry brood. Now the X-Men have taken the king egg off Earth, but the brood aren't the only ones after it. A Kree accuser took the Starjammers hostage, holding them in exchange for information, and unwittingly exposing his presence in Shi'ar's space. Now, Gladiator, Kid Gladiator, and the Imperial Guard are after him, and everyone's about to run into one another. They're gaining on us. I don't think we can stay ahead of them much longer. I don't think we need to worry about who's behind us, Scott. Look. Well, that's not good at all. You've kept me waiting, child. there's a cost associated with that. Or either you pay, or your confidants do. Where is the king egg? Okay, so you're gonna be mad. Maybe not as mad as your captives there, but mad nonetheless. Anyway, here it goes. I totally forgot about the egg thing, completely slipped my mind. What happened was, Sam and I started watching the Shi'ar version of Jeopardy, and I gotta tell you, we did not know any of the answers. It was very frustrating. DaCosta, when I get my hands on you, relax, I'm joking. I made some calls, and the good news is, I found your egg thing, and it's actually headed in your direction. Allah's great halls of mercy. We're being boarded. The bad news is Sam's wife tracked you, and you've got something else coming your way. Bang, bang, dummies. It seems you are lost, accuser. This is Shi'ar space, and we are a people free of Kree judgment. All will be judged, Magister. For this is a righteous, millennial work I am engaged in. That one such as you should fall in its doing only makes it more so. Hey, Dad? Yes? You know how you're always busy running the Empire and you promised this would be some uninterrupted me and you time without any Imperial nonsense? I do. Well, I'll forgive you if you this guy up for me. Yeah. Ah. Can't hold it. We're going down. It looks like we have two choices. That station or the planetoid it's orbiting. Head for the planet. Bigger canvas to work with. And that station's gonna get chewed up by that brood in our wake. Alex, on it. To the unidentified station we're approaching, if you can, you need to evacuate immediately. There's a brood swarm on our... Dad? What the... I know it's not the reunion you were expecting, son, but we can catch up later. Right now, I need to know if you happen to have a brood king egg on you. We do. Ah, so that's what this is about. A king egg. Now I understand. Are you landing on the planet below? Landing? Not likely. This way. Can you get through to them? No. Their thoughts are manic. Madness. Driven by the fear of their queens. Scott, you need to imagine the control each of these queens must have. It must be absolute. Total. Imagine living your entire life as a predator, hunting whatever you felt needed to be hunted, consuming whatever you desired to consume. Just consider what it would be like having millions of your species, millions of your race, willing to die just so you could have more than what you already had. Consider the appetite of it, the power of it. Try to imagine what that must feel like. Now imagine something unexpected, unforeseen, that could take all of it away from you. And worse than that, it would turn you into that which you have lorded over for thousands of years. A drone. How badly would you overreact to this threat? How badly would you want that threat to die? These queens would sacrifice everything to hold on to their power. That's the threat the king egg is. They will kill everything that stands between them and the king egg. Everything. Scott! Scott, look out! Scott! What's going on? They just stopped. They've lost their fire. Whatever, I'll take a win any way we can get one. No, this isn't a win. The Brood are a hive mind with a singular goal. There is something larger. This shouldn't be happening. No, it shouldn't. Where the hell's that egg? Sorry. I ate it. In the adjacent space of 1,000,000 broken civilizations, there is a Shi'ar graveyard. A spawning ground for predators, for parasites, for brood. 10,000 worlds, 6 trillion drones, 1,000 queens, and now 1 king. Eyes of the Supremer, RE. A report from the Secret Order of Black Judges regarding the creation of a weaponized slave catalyst for Hive species. Potential seed species. Tal Byri, failure from process, extinct. Sidri, failure from mind structure. Scatter, success, minor. Phalanx, failure from adaptivity. U Noise, failure from biological integrity, extinct. Brood, success, major. Regarded as this universe's first galactic predators, the Brood entered this reality through the dark matter flow of a collapsing universe. Being extra-universal, little is known about the origins of the Alpha Hive, but close study implies manufacture. This presents several injection complications based on species design. The Brood have a matriarchal caste system, which is structured as follows: Empress, Firstborn, Queen, Dwarf Queen, Drone. Careful study and beta testing of slave catalyst has resulted in the conclusion that a pheromone-based solution works best for total control. But species design means that it can only be injected at the queen level of the hive. That the entire militaristic class of Firstborn dies when the Empress does means that our weapon system can only be introduced at the death or extermination of the Brood Empress. After such an event, the death of an Empress, the nest wars between rival queens to determine who will assume control of the hive usually last several decades, giving us ample time to exercise the use of our weapon. Note: during the nest wars that determine the new Empress, the population of the entire Brood hive drops dramatically, so it is best used at the onset of succession. The King Egg. After several hundred years of testing and design, the Black Judges, the secret science wing of the Accusers, presented the Supreme Intelligence with a pheromone-based weapon built to hack the Brood caste system and seize control of the hive by reproducing and supercharging the pheromonal Empress effect. Note: normally the Empress controls the hive through a combination of pheromones and telepathic dominance. Out of necessity, our weapon supercharges the first, since we cannot effectively replicate the second. The effect of this is a more compliant, but less autonomous drone. The King Egg itself is a container for a serum that alters and enhances the biology of the King Egg host, and will give that host control of the entire hive for an estimated 5 to 10 standard Kree cycles. The King Egg is activated by ingesting the serum contained inside the shell. Note: production of a rival King Egg can disrupt the host control of the hive. Okay, so it looks like we got that situation under control for the time being. Gladiator and the Imperial Guard took out that Kree Accuser and the rest of his crew pretty quickly, freeing the Starjammers, just as Cyclops, Vulcan, Havoc, Jean, and Broo enter Shi'ar space with a whole horde of Brood hot on their tails, pretty much already tearing their ship apart, so they have to crash land on a nearby planetoid. This whole Brood horde just smashes right through the space station, which is pretty wild that anybody survived that. Anybody except for Gladiator and Kid Gladiator, but I guess they might have gotten out in time. I'm not sure exactly how they survived that, but they make it to the planet's surface and try to find a place to make a stand against this Brood horde. Because as Jean explains, these brood are completely driven manic by the fear of their queens over this king egg. So trying to telepathically distract or confuse them is not an option because they are of one single mind and the only goal is to get to that egg and nothing's going to stop them. Except the egg itself or what's inside, which is, we learn, is a serum that is meant to be ingested, and whoever ingests it will control the hive. Broo saw no other options available but to take control of the hive. I doubt very highly that he wanted to do that and to be a brood king, but I can't think of any other scenario more ideal than Broo becoming a brood king because he is an ally of the X-Men and the mutants. So at least it's somebody that they can trust that's going to be in control of the brood horde. Now we get quite a bit of information in flashbacks that the Kree 6,000 years ago were pretty much the first that we know of to encounter the brood, and that the brood are actually extra-dimensional or extra universal as they existed in the previous universe, and after that continuing destruction of the previous universe into the creation of the current universe, they are actually able to survive and cross the dark matter flow into the new universe. So they could have very well been around from the very first universe in the first iteration of the cosmos. So that's an interesting detail that I don't think we've ever learned before, which actually makes the brood even more terrifying because they're literally like cockroaches. Like they can't be killed. Like they can survive just about anything. As a species whole, you might kill individual ones, but they're going to take a licking and keep on ticking. And no amount of bug spray in the universe is going to take them out. So yeah, these Kree scientists that are presenting their findings about the brood to an accuser, who in turn takes their findings and information to be judged by the Supreme Intelligence. Even then, the Supreme Intelligence knew that the Kree's biggest rival would be the Shi'ar, and that the most favorable target to use this hive species against would be the Shi'ar. The Supreme Intelligence does mention a few other races that we are familiar with, like the Skrulls, the Kotati, which are like the tree people, as well as Galador, which we know will eventually be destroyed by other means, but the Shi'ar was top of the list as far as their competition. So those scientists got to start on their project to create this king egg, which basically is a way to hack the biological imperative of the brood, disrupt their cycle, take over their instinctual directive by way of pheromones, where usually an empress, which I suppose we've never seen before since they always kill them, use telepathy and pheromones to control every brood underneath her all the way down to the drone level. It gives us the caste system of the brood and how the hierarchy works. And while we've only really known that the queen is the highest, apparently there are 2 levels higher than a queen that would get wiped out when the king egg is introduced. Or in order to introduce the king egg, they have to cut off that ladder of supremacy at the queen level. So I wonder what the difference is, how much worse when those other 2 levels are present, the Empress and the Firstborn, because it sounded like the Firstborn are militaristic and maybe more powerful soldiers than the regular drones are. So that's interesting. The Kree might have done us all a favor by by meddling however their system works. So now the Kree, of course, did all of this in hopes of making a weapon, a biological weapon against other civilizations. Now, what this means for the mutants and the X-Men, I'm not quite sure, but for now, it seems like that the danger is past or on pause as far as the brood threat. So we shall see in the next issue how all of this comes into play on Krakoa. If you like this episode, please give me that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and join the crew, and I'll catch you in the next issue.